Good morning. Welcome to the Andy Martens Show, 9:32 Eastern Daylight Time, broadcasting from Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Welcome our viewers in Ontario and across the United States. And I'm giddy. I'm over the moon. Welcome back, your Honda Meg, the crown jewel of cars. She's joining us live from Great Lakes Honda. And this lady I will promote to the moon and back. You obviously have seen it. She's the top rated show right here on the Andy Martens Show. Don't tell anybody, but Meg has gotten over 1,000 views each of the shows she's done. So everybody loves Meg, your Honda Meg. Good morning, my dear.
Hello, thank you for having me back.
Hey, it's so much fun. I'm over the moon. I feel like a kid at the candy store when you come on. We're going to talk about buying or leasing cars in a pandemic. But first, I want to hear the story about Fiona the Fit. I'm so sad she's gone. How long did you have her as a demo, and how did all that start? Fiona the Fit.
It's actually it is a good story. Back in, I think it was either June or July of 2020. I can't remember. I went to my boss Ben and I said, I want to drive the Fit. And he said, Meg, you don't want to drive a Fit. Like, there's not many of them left. They're discontinuing them. Like, you don't want that. I was like, I want to drive it as a demo, and I want to make like a big social media thing with it. I want to make it a huge story, like a social media thing where everybody knows this car. We can name her, like, I don't know, like Fiona the Fit or something. Right. And then it was like, oh, Fiona the Fit. It just stuck. So we joked about it for a little bit, and then he was like, yeah, you know what? Do it. Let's do it. Sell that car. So I hopped in her, and nice set of good mats, and then I took her on adventures, and I went. I had been camping with her once or twice. Filled that car up with all sorts of stuff. I've put things like a weight bench back there, bicycles, tons of stuff like to cart around. Just so much great stuff. What a functional, fun little car. I'm really disappointed that they're discontinuing them, but so I drove her for work of nine-ish months, 10-ish months, somewhere in there. What a fun little car to drive. And it's just kind of been all about finding her forever home. And I was kind of like her foster parent for a while. So it was just fun. Yeah, it was just a fun little thing that I did. And now I've got a new one, but I'm not going to tell you what, because I'm announcing it on my page today. So people get to go.
Well, stay tuned for that new demo. But demo, just before we get to the buying and leasing, demo pricing is a little bit different than everybody else, isn't it? It's over on the side here, how you price a demo versus used or new, or it's kind of by itself a little bit, eh?
Yeah, I mean, demos are in the Sioux. You don't put a lot of kilometers on demos. Here, at our dealership, at least, we still, only put a few thousand kilometers, maybe 1,000 or 2,000 before we end up selling it. Down south, they tend to do quite a bit more. But here, they're just kind of, what the salespeople drive, and we get to show off the cars and really let people see what they're all about and bring them out and about. Obviously, not as much now, but back in the day, bring them, out to a friend's house, and people look at the car and say, wow. But yeah, you definitely get special pricing on a demo. It's important to sell them. So it's a special pricing kind of deal.
You moved it pretty quickly. Was it just over a week, I think, or something like that?
Well, mind you, I've been trying to sell it since I got it. So
okay.
It's been quite a few months. I think, just over 4,500 kilometers on it, and it was a good ride, but time for a new adventure.
So sometimes demos are harder to sell than new or used in some way. It depends. Every situation is different.
Absolutely, it does. I mean, the Fit is such a unique car, and it really needed it's kind of a niche market buyer, right? So they've got a specific customer that is going to fit in that vehicle. You're driving a Civic, they don't last very long, right? So if you're driving a Civic as a demo, then different story. But a Fit is kind of, there's a certain customer that really works for that vehicle. So sometimes it takes a little bit longer.
Right, right. I'll tell you, I promote this lady wherever I go. I want to tell a funny story before quickly. I had some car repairs. I have a 2011 Ford Fusion Sport, 3.6 5-liter engine, 6-cylinder. I was on my way in the Highland Ford shuttle to pick up the vehicle, and the shuttle driver, and we passed Great Lakes Honda. I said, "Hey, buddy, there's a superstar, a great crown jewel of cars, your Honda make and Brazil." "Oh yeah, I've heard that name before." So Meg is known within Sault Ste. Marie more than she thinks.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
The shuttle driver on the way to Highland Ford. So,
That's
but
crazy.
it's so much fun. So buying and leasing, Meg, I've had a lot of people text me, and because I'm promoting you more actually than I have anybody in my entire life, to be honest. And Meg and I have not met, but it's like I feel like I've known her for 5 years. Buying or leasing, people are scared. They don't know what to do. You can phone Meg right after the show, Great Lakes Honda, 949-7222, but they don't know what to do, buy or lease in the middle of a pandemic.
Well, so it's quite a good conversation to have. And I think it's really important that every individual has that conversation
Right.
for themselves. Because when you really look at the big picture, leasing isn't for everybody, but it could be great for everybody. And financing isn't for everybody, but it could also be great for everybody. And it really just depends on your buying style, on your timeline, and what you're hoping to accomplish with your vehicle. I mean, leasing has become, quite a large part of our business, and it's changed quite a bit over the
Right.
last, 20 years, whereas it used to kind of be a bad word almost. And nowadays, the way that Honda does it's a very good program. I encourage almost everybody to at least hear me out and talk about it and have the conversation so that you've got a full realm of knowledge to make your decision off of, because if you don't know every option that's available to you, how are you going to make an informed decision, right? And a lot
Sure.
of people want to finance, but they're the type of people that will turn over their vehicle every 4 years. So it puts you in a better position oftentimes, if you're the type to turn your vehicle often, to lease a vehicle. Because
Right.
you're only paying for half the car, you're only paying tax on half the car, and then at the end of the lease, then you just start over. I know with Honda, oftentimes it ends up being cheaper than, say, a 7-year finance, just because of the resale value, residual, and how good of a vehicle it is. So there's a lot of factors that go into it, and it very much is an individual conversation, and it really hasn't changed with regards to the pandemic. So being in the pandemic, it doesn't change what your life needs and what's going to be the right call for you, because you may have not known about leasing before, and now you think it's a good idea, or back and forth. There's different options, but I think that the pandemic may have changed people's mindsets of how long they want to keep a car, or what kind of car they're looking for, new or used, and that may factor into whether you lease or finance. But what is it better to lease or finance now that we're in a pandemic? That hasn't changed. It's the same as it always has been.
Is that a misconception that some people think that leasing you're paying double the price to if you bought the car? Is that just an outright misconception out there?
So no, like yes and no. You really aren't paying for double. I mean, people say, I don't want to rent a vehicle, I want to own a vehicle. And
Right.
I could argue that why would you want to own a vehicle? Because they only depreciate, they only get worse, and they only
Right.
end up costing you money. So why wouldn't you lease it, pay for the best four or five, whatever years of its life, and then at the end, you return it and start over right before it's about to cost you money, right?
Right.
And then you're always in a new vehicle, you're always under warranty, you're always driving the best four or 5 years of a car's life, as opposed to buying the second half of a car's life,
Right.
which again isn't a bad thing. We've got a huge inventory right now of really great pre-owned vehicles that you can pay cash or finance. You can't lease a used car, but you
Right.
can pay cash or
Right.
finance, and like you're gonna feel like you're buying a brand new car when you look at our used car lot. They're all prime vehicles.
With
So
low mileage, yeah.
with super low mileage. Exactly. I mean, it's the Sioux. People don't drive very far these days, right? So
That's right. I've got a 2011 with 88,000 kilometers.
exactly.
A 10-year-old car. That's unheard of. But I'll give you an example. I think if somebody is scared about the maintenance of a vehicle, you got to pay attention to your brakes. I recently had this example. If you don't, your calipers, rotors, and brake pads, if you do not service your calipers, they can, we'll talk more, and Meg will have some service manager from Great Lakes Honda on at a future date. But if you don't watch all that stuff, a complete brake job can cost you $1,500 and up. So you got to be careful. If you're the type of person that doesn't want to do maintenance on a vehicle and do your tune-ups and check your vehicle, you're better to lease, because in the long run, it'll be cheaper. Am I right on that?
So yeah, it works out to be pretty darn close and oftentimes cheaper depending on what you're buying. I mean, with a lease, you still regularly maintain your vehicle, but you're absolutely right with regards to servicing your brakes and taking care of them. I mean, we live in a rough climate, and
Yeah,
if you don't service your brakes, you're going to end up doing that brake job a lot sooner than you should have
right.
to.
That's
You keep
right.
it's like preventative maintenance. I say all the time, like you go to the dentist when you've got a bad pain, or do you get your cleanings done every few months, right? So you try to do it that way in preventative maintenance. But yeah, when you lease a car, I mean, with average kilometers in the Sioux, you're probably not going to end up having to buy tires for your car. If you just keep your brakes serviced, you're not going to have to buy brakes for your car. The bigger maintenances that come after the 4-year mark in owning a vehicle, you're never going to have to do that. And people say, well, then I always have a payment. And it's like, well, if you pay your car off after 7 years and then you don't have a payment anymore, how much longer is your vehicle going to last, first of all? Second of all, how much are you going to pay in maintenance bills, in the surprise bills, where you say, oh, it's $1,500 today. Okay, well, what's $1,500 in payments? Well, is that a year's worth of payments? Potentially, depending on your vehicle. So yeah, you're always making payments, but you're avoiding that surprise big, larger bill that come along with vehicles. And then the surprise of, my car died today and now I need to figure out something to do, right?
Yeah.
Always being under warranty and always being in a comfortable spot where you say, you know what, I go into the dealership for my regular maintenance, and then when it's about to cost me money, I drop the keys off and Meg helps me get a new one.
Right, exactly. And people are always concerned about the trade-in, but the reality is Honda holds the sale value more than other vehicles. Another question I had: can you trade in a vehicle on a lease?
So basically, when you're leasing, you're returning the vehicle. So
Right,
if you're in a 4-year lease, you make your payments for 4 years and then you
right,
return.
right,
Now, if you wanted to say get out of your lease early, that's absolutely an option. And we do it very often where we look at our lease book, and when we can get people out early, and Honda's always got incentives to try to pull people out of their leases early and
right,
get them into something new. And oftentimes it'll be similar payments, maybe a little more, maybe a little less sometimes, depending on the market. So we're always trying to get people out of their lease early, because that's what feeds our used car lot. I mean, if you look at
right.
our used car lot, if I'm not wrong, we're at 70% of our used cars right now, or maybe it was 65, are all lease returns. So a big portion of our used car department comes from lease returns, which means that they've been serviced at the dealership. We know the history, we know the story, we know who the
Right.
customer was, and we know how they've taken care of the vehicle. And it's a great story for the next owner.
And the dealership can hold the value as a used car on a lease return because you know the history, as you say.
Well, and here's the thing with the lease. If you're leasing a vehicle and at the end of the lease you want to buy it and keep it, you can do that, right? And you would buy it for the same price that we would. So it's a really, really good deal for you as a buyer. If you're leasing the vehicle and at the end you say, you know what, love the car, low kilometers, it's perfect, buy it and keep it. Why not? or we can buy it out and put it on our used car lot. But because Hondas have such a good resale value, a bit of a long conversation, but the resale value of a Honda means the residual value of a lease is very, very good, which means that the payment of a lease
Right.
is really, really low. That's what people
Yeah.
like about it.
That's right. So you have lease returns or buybacks. Are you seeing more of one versus the other right now on leases?
Definitely, yeah, it's definitely always lease returns that we see more of. But we definitely have, financing customers or cash customers that turn their vehicles every few years as well. And that's in my experience, that's a bit of a 4, 5, 6 year turnaround time for the most part. You don't see those $10,000 used cars the way you used to. I mean, we get them once in a while. We've got one little Nissan Sentra out there right now, but you don't see those nice little cars anymore because people with the Honda, they keep them, So, we've got a lot of 2018s and 17s out there right now. There's a couple 16s and a couple 15s, but 17s and 18s are the bulk of our pre-owned inventory right now.
And you certainly don't go below a certain model year too, where you don't tend to. And every dealership runs in against this. That, well, I'm sorry, Mr. Jones, but a 2010 might be a little bit older to trade in. You're better to sell it privately. You've probably seen those situations.
Oh yeah, we see those situations all the time actually. And a lot of times, especially during COVID, people are happy to trade them in. First of all, you get tax savings on your trade-in, which is nice. You save tax against the new purchase. But beyond that, you also get the ability to not have to worry about selling it yourself, which is something a lot of people don't want to do anymore. Safeties cost a lot more money than they used to. Windshields cost more money than they used to. Bumpers cost more money than they used to. So a lot of these things that, may or may not help you sell your car privately are things that people don't want to worry about the headache. So they oftentimes say, you know what? Yeah, I'll trade the vehicle in, avoid the headache, especially during COVID. If somebody come to your driveway, knock on your door, drive your car during a pandemic, on your insurance. And it's just, it's a little bit different these days, I'm finding.
Exactly. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back with your Honda make, the crown jewel of cars, an amazing lady. We'll be right back. We're back live. I get excited about all my shows, but I'll tell you, everybody knows that I can't hide it. This talking to you're on the make, it's a little bit more exciting. I'll tell you, I will promote this lady from the moon and back, and she really doesn't know how good she is. I told her that on the first show. I've seen sales, I've seen cars in my lifetime, and she's doing it. You're 333. That's why I want to help Meg get to those higher levels. Do you know what selling 333 cars means in a year?
No.
It means you can make six-figure income selling 333 cars. So that's where I come in. I'm doing as much as I can to help this lady. She's an amazing person in sales all around. Let's talk about, in our remaining moments, time goes so fast. I enjoy every
No.
second of the show. Let's talk about how your business is on April 21st, 2021 versus let's go back to the first wave, not last year. How do you compare the two?
Oh, it's night and day. I mean, this time last year, I was laid off and sitting on my couch. Um,
Oh my, I
yeah,
can't believe that. Oh,
yeah,
wow.
the whole dealership was closed, shut right down. Everything was closed. We weren't really essential yet. They could do online sales only, but that was, there wasn't enough business. Everybody was scared. Nobody knew what was happening. And anybody that did come in online, management here was able to help out. They did bring me back in May, and that's kind of when, you come back into things. And now, right now, it's been a little bit slow at first, but it's coming back. So March was crazy busy. I think people got the first dose of spring and they were excited. It's been a little bit slow for the last week or so, but the first weeks of April were super busy. And I think that with the weather, I think people will be out and buying. We're appointment only, which really doesn't change much. We're still sanitizing and whatnot and doing everything that we need to do safety protocol wise, and plexiglass and masks and the everything we need to do, and we're just appointment only. So it's a little bit of a different process because you're used to people walking in and, hey, I'm here to
Right.
look for a car, and you can't shake people's hand anymore, which is such a struggle, right?
That
Um,
was always an important part of the business,
of
wasn't it?
course. Yeah, I mean, we did training on how to properly shake somebody's hand and how to engage them, first right off the bat and make that awesome experience from the handshake, from the first point of contact. It's not the same way anymore. You just really have to smile with your eyes and hope they feel your happiness.
Well, when when COVID is over or gets a little bit more settled down, we're gonna come and broadcast live when Meg greets customers and show you the entire amazing process. Why she's number one. Well, number one in Sault Ste. Marie, as far as I'm concerned. But we'll show you the whole process of
Yeah.
how you sell a vehicle. But I think it's a few more months till we get there, though. So.
It feels like, yeah. I mean, overall, it's still, it's still doing, the business is doing really well. But yeah, I think we gotta wait it out a little bit. But yeah, once that happens, I'd be excited to show people what the process is. I mean, I've been doing all of my social media has been about trying to bring the process to people in their homes,
Right.
because you can't, some people aren't comfortable, which is totally okay. But even just to explain to people what the process looks like, I'm trying to help people understand what that looks like and understand, the behind the scenes of buying cars, so that they can feel more comfortable when they are ready to come in the dealership.
And that's where this show can help because we can
Yeah,
bring it right into people's homes and
absolutely.
touch thousands of people where you think making phone calls and prospecting any other way, it's a lot more, it's harder to do that. Social media brings it in the here and now.
It really, really does. It's huge. And this show has been great. I just really love the ability to talk to people and, help them feel comfortable in coming to me and asking any questions. I mean, if you're not in the market right now, that's okay. You can still ask questions. It's totally fine. Reach out to me and let me help you. If you're not going to buy a car for the next 4 years, that's okay too. Just reach out to say hello and introduce yourself and say, yeah, I've got a couple questions. Just curious. That's
Right.
fine.
Last thing, I know you're a very busy lady. Maybe give the viewers an indication of your day from the moment you enter the dealership, what your day looks like, and let people know how you become the crown jewel, because you are the uh, top product advisor at Great Lakes Honda. You have to do things better than everybody else. I don't mean that in a negative way to demean anybody, but the top performers are always engaged. Am I right about that?
You are, and a lot of it comes with experience, right? So I'm the senior salesperson now. I've been here the
Right.
longest out of everybody. So a lot of it, I've really come into my own in the last couple of years and figuring out what kind of my style is. But start to finish, my day usually starts the same way. We always have a sales meeting first thing in the morning to just kind of go over things, make sure everybody's on the same page, scheduling and whatnot, and just have a little fun first thing in the morning with the sales team before we get going to really pump our day up. That usually lasts about half an hour, and then from there, office, I try to do some desk work, make a few phone calls, touch base with customers. How are you doing? I try to record a couple of videos for social media, edit them, schedule them on Facebook and Instagram so that they're ready to go, have them ready. I usually take twice a day, once in the morning, once in the afternoon, to check social media for messages from customers. Other than that, I try to stay off of it because it can really consume you. So twice a day, check in for messages and comments on posts and stay in touch. And then I, share a story to Instagram or whatnot. You're going outside, you've got a couple appointments throughout the day. Usually I have 2 to 3, sometimes 4 appointments throughout the day. You get your test drives ready. You've got deliveries where people are coming to pick up their cars. So that's completely different, like a 180, right? It's like the
Right.
excitement of somebody picking up their car. So as opposed to somebody coming into car shop, right? So it's a really varied day. It changes, and you really have to be able to adapt because I can't schedule my day. There's no way. I say to people all the time, I can book 4 appointments throughout the day and then be late for every one of them. I try not to be, I promise. But just because sometimes people need a little bit more time and sometimes people need a little less time. And nowadays I've gotten better at scheduling appropriately. But you just kind of have to be open, and people are always super awesome about, guys, I'm just going to be a couple more minutes, and they're okay with that. So overall, it's just being adaptable to what happens in your day, because it always changes and something will pop up that you weren't expecting, and you just have to roll with it.
So is it easier to schedule your day now with appointment only, or would you rather have it the other way?
I like a mixture of both, honestly. It is easier when you can schedule your day because then you can assure that each customer has the appropriate amount of time and you can take the time to take care of them, right? When people just come in, I'm more than happy with it. And I absolutely love when people just walk in and they're ready to car shop. And today's the day, right? It's super exciting. But I always worry that I can't give them the attention that they deserve because I'm with somebody else. But we always make it work. And every customer that walks through the door is going to get awesome, awesome service no matter who they're working with. So it really does end up working out for the most part.
And let's not fool anybody. The business is not that easy. You don't go from somebody coming into the store and showing them the car to the sale right away. It doesn't always happen that way.
No, no, no. I mean, I actually did a video. I think it's posting either, I think it's next week, on how long should the process take. So
Right.
it really does vary and it depends on the person. There's some people that come in and boom, done, buy the car within 5 minutes. There's people who buy a car over the phone, over email. There's other people who, take months to buy a car, and that's okay. It's all good. Some people I'm with for an entire day. They come in at 10 a.m. for an appointment and they're here until 5 p.m. and that's okay too. They need to drive a few few cars and really get a feel for what they're looking for. Or they drive one car, come back the next week and drive a different car, and we spend 10 minutes each time, but they come back quite a few times. I mean, there's no right or wrong answer to how you buy a car, because you're buying a car. It's your money. It's your
Right.
life. It's all about you, right? So there's no right or
Exactly.
wrong answer. Yeah.
So much to talk about, Meg. I'll tell you, every second of the show is thrilling. Financing, service end of it. Your dealership is probably the best building in this city. I remember it from Boston Motors back in the day, and because it's set as a dealership perfectly, it's not combined with anything, and it's there. It's probably the best located building in the city. Do you find that an advantage, letting people know where you are?
Most people know where to find us. You're right. And because it's been an established building for quite some time, I think people, even a lot of people say, "Oh, the old Bostons," and you're like, "Yeah." Also, everybody knows the Canadians. So if they don't know where you are, you just say, "Oh, across from the Canadian." They're like, "Oh, okay."
Exactly.
So yeah, it's pretty easy to find. You're right.
And Meg is the first Andy Martin show first viewer selected award winner, and I'm going to present the award live on this show at a future date. We're going to wait till COVID settles down, and fully deserved. I wouldn't have anybody else in that spot right now. So thank you so much, Meg. And if you want to get somebody on the show next time around as a guest, maybe a coworker, maybe they're shy, but discuss the business, and we'll continue to keep an eye on it. One last thing I forgot to ask you is, will this current shutdown and by appointment only slow your goals for 2021? Do you see it slowing down at all? You were talking that 2020 was a record year. Do you see the same thing happening now?
That's a tough question, because there's some factors that are out of our control. I mean, inventory is a little bit tough to get right now, for all manufacturers, not just us. But as long as we get inventory, I think we're still going to have a really great year. And as for my motivation, there's no question that hasn't phased at all. So it's all about just making do with what you've got. Silver linings. I mean, we're in a pandemic. It's tough right now. You make do with what you've got, and you do the best you can. We've got lots of CRVs out there, lots of Civics, and anything else we can look at ordering and whatnot. And otherwise, we just roll with it. But I think it's going to be another really great year. I don't know that it'll be as great as last year, but who knows? I mean, the sky's the limit. You just have to hope for the best and see what happens.
Sometimes you try and do dealer trades too. Is that still happening among dealers? Like to go and dealer trade with somebody?
Yeah, so if somebody's got a car that we're looking for, before it's left the factory, we can definitely trade. Maybe if the customer wants a different color or whatnot. It's tougher now again with inventory, but we've definitely got some really good connections with other dealerships, and they're willing to help out. So it's all about trying to get the customer what they want. So yeah, we'll do everything in our power.
Awesome. There you go. Your Honda Meg, crown jewel of cars making Brazil, and just simply the best. In I'll tell you, thank you so much, Meg. We'll do this again real soon, anytime, anywhere, where I'm always ready. This lady has a blank check with me. Have yourself a great day, Meg. Thanks for
Thank
coming
you.
on. See you soon. Bye.